Hello, and welcome to Budgeting for Post-Pandemic Inflation. And I'm your host, Michelle O'Quinn, and I have a special guest.
Hey everybody, my name is Julie DeFilippi. Nice to be here.
And we're going to talk about inflation and budgeting during this inflation. So, in today's agenda, we're going to talk about what exactly is inflation and how did we get here, your income versus the expenses. And then small adjustments can make a big difference. So small adjustments you can make in your daily life that can make a big difference in your pocketbook. And then also seeking opportunities to save money. So again, welcome. My name is Michelle O'Quinn. I'm the career counselor here at SCARE. As many of you know, I work on the resumes and job leads. Today I'm dealing with your budget. I, at some point, was laid off during the, what was that period called? Where, anyway, the Obama administration, where they had those gnarly um, uh, housing packages that plummeted the economy and everybody was laid off. I was one of those laid off individuals. And so I found myself a single mom, laid off, 7 kids at home. So I had to learn how to budget really, really quick. I did find myself on government assistance where they gave me a lot of money in food stamps, but they did not give me a lot of cash. And so, like, I remember distinctly that there was this one year where it was like Thanksgiving, and I had food stamps to buy food for Thanksgiving, but I didn't have enough cash for gas money to get to the store. So it was really cool to have fish on Thanksgiving. And the reason why I had fish because my dad used to go fishing all the time, and then he would bring me like coolers and coolers full of fish. But Dad, thanks, Daddy.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Well, introduce yourself.
My name is Julie DeFilippi, and I'm the Sacred Pipe Youth Coordinator here for SCARE. So I work with 2B Youth, and I love working with my kiddos. I'm also help out here with admin. I answer phones. You may see me. I'm at the front desk all the time, and I love greeting everybody and helping everybody. I'm also a single mom of 2 daughters, and I've always I've always had to budget. I've always had to struggle a little bit here and there. It's hard here in California. It's very expensive here. And so I've always found myself keeping like necessities in the house, meaning like my beans and my rice and tortillas and potatoes, because those stretch things out through the week. And I just go by that. And I always tell my daughters, they're growing up now, so always keep necessities in the house. But we'll talk about more of that throughout the video, and I'm glad I'm here today.
All right, so first things first, we're going to talk about inflation. So inflation is when generally the price level rises and each unit of currency buys fewer goods and services. And consequently, inflation corresponds with the reduction in purchasing power of money. So basically, the price rises and then you don't get very much bang for your buck. Your buck goes nowhere. So factors that can impact inflation include the cost of production, prices of goods, the demand for those goods, skilled labor availability, new technology, and current money supply. So the cost of production, that's basically how much it costs to make the item that's in demand. And then the price for the goods to make those items. So a good example of that would have been the baby formula. So the companies weren't able to keep up with the demand of baby formula because the price to create the baby formula cost so much. So that inflated the price of baby formula. And then also now we're seeing an inflation because we don't have enough skilled labor. And so you'll see that lately there's been a push for youth to get training, vocational training, as opposed to college training, because there is a big need for skilled labor, and we're seeing like a decrease in that area. And then the new technologies and current money supply. Um, when it comes to the supply and demand, they were always talking about the 1% and how like the money never trickles down. It kind of just stays up there with the 1%. And so that's what we're talking about. And there's the disappearance of the middle class. So it's just like where you're either at the top or at the bottom, and there's barely anyone that fits the mid ground. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely agree on that. I've seen a difference throughout the years.
Yeah, so that's kind of like where we're going at this point. Um, Next is shrinkflation. So manufacturing companies quietly shrink the product packaging and charge the same price for less. And so I've seen that in like what's supposed to be the regular size of cereal is not a regular size box of cereal. That thing is puny. It should only cost $1, but for some reason it still it costs $5 for this little skinny box of cereal.
Yes, yeah.
And then also too your shrimp. I'm hungry. Your chips. The bags are either smaller or they're putting more air in it and less chips. And then toothpaste, as you can see, it's just like, you're losing what, 50, it says 15 brushes per tube. And then raisins, they want to rip us off on raisins of all things. Like, come on, like at least give us the raisins. and, and toilet paper. So I did notice the toilet paper that the rolls were a little skimpier than usual, and I know because I have like a house full of people, and we need that.
Yeah, toilet paper is a big necessity for every household. I'll say one thing about toilet paper. I know I've always stuck to like my quilted northern or others, other ones because the prices were really good, but the prices have jumped in toilet paper. And like Michelle says, they are smaller than they used to be. I do go to Smart and Final, and on for the toilet paper and paper towel, I buy the industrial ones, and I know they're not as soft, but trust me, you get these big boxes. It's a little bit of the buy to put down, but your money's worth it in the long run. The paper towels and the toilet paper last longer. You get more, but like I said, I know the quality may not be as, but hey, it definitely helps my pocketbook in the long run.
Yeah. Then like with the inflation, like I've seen a lot, especially at the grocery store, we're paying like a few dollars more for items. Everything, yeah, like dishwasher pods. I know I would pay like $10.99 for a box of dishwasher pods, and then now it's like $16. That was like the most. I was shocked when I saw that. Like, are you serious?
Yeah, eggs. I was shocked. Eggs killed me. I went to Walmart. It was 18 pack for $10, and I won't do that again. Like that hurts. It hurts. So I buy that box. I buy that 60 count box, and everybody that knows seen it at Walmart, it's a good buy. 14 something for 60 count, and that's the best way to go.
Yeah, I have chickens.
You're so lucky. Oh, if you guys can have chickens out there, get some because that is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, what is it, like a $20 chicken? And then they're supplying you with like 5 eggs a week.
Hey, and there's also programs out there that they bring the chicken house to you and the chickens, and if it works out in your area, they'll hook that up, and you'll have your own chicken coop in the back.
Really?
I've seen it, and I'll get the link. I'll get the link.
Yeah, hook me up with that link. My chickens need friends. Okay. So we're going to talk a little bit about inflation. Inflation is a drop in the value of purchasing power and currency. It increases the price of goods and services that lead to inflation. And then this also increases the cost of living. So we've all seen it across the board. Gas has gone up, food has gone up. Oh my God, rent. Rent is crazy.
Rent is awful.
Yeah. So just the price all around has gone up. And then the impact of inflation is the continuous rise in price over time, and it creates hyperinflation. And then people lose faith in money, and no one holds on to their money, and adversely affects their savings. So people start dipping into their savings account, trying to keep up with the same lifestyle they had prior to inflation. Instead of making those adjustments that need to be made with. So it's like either you learn how to increase your income, or cut back on some of those luxuries.
Yeah.
But instead of doing that, we find that some people dip into their savings, or they dip into those credit cards.
Yeah, and be careful of that. Be careful of those credit card dipping, because you do have to pay those back on time, and you want to keep up with everything else. So just be aware of that.
Yeah, and then causes of inflation, we have the demand pull inflation that occurs when there is an increase in demand for products and services, and the existing production capacity cannot keep up with the rise in demand. And then you have the cost push inflation, which occurs when supply is restricted and there's an increase in production cost and demand remains the same. And then you have built-in inflation, where price expectations of the working class seeking to increase their wages, the increase of production costs, hence leads to inflation. So the pull inflation is more like when people were receiving those gnarly unemployment checks, that were probably like twice as much as they were making while they were actually working. So with that, there was, because people had more money in their pocket, so that created more of a demand. Because they had more spending power, they had more money to buy. So with companies, they weren't like used to people buying all this stuff because they didn't have as much money as they did during the pandemic. And so they had to like try to keep up with that. But then also at the same time, you have these people that are on unemployment, they're getting these increased checks, and then they have all these demands, but who's making it? Because at the same time, if you are unemployed, or you have this group of people who are unemployed with all these demands, but then you don't have a pocket of people who are employed or want to be employed, right?
Yes.
So I mean that creates that cost push inflation. And so causes of inflation. So here's a checkpoint. 3 causes: growth of money supply, too much money in the economy causes inflation. So that's what I was saying with that. And then also too, there were those PPP loans, that small businesses had.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they didn't necessarily have to increase in employment. They just, it was basically like a loan that they received from the government to offset, people not being able to purchase, which they were, there was enough money in people's pockets to purchase anything.
Yes, yes.
But then
That's
also
crazy.
too, we can't really blame the small businesses for not sharing the wealth, because I mean there really weren't a lot of people who wanted to work anyway.
Yeah, that was a struggle.
Yeah. And I don't blame them for not wanting to work, because I mean COVID is a real thing.
Yes.
And it impacted a lot of people, a lot of people, their lives, their loved ones. Um, and so yeah, trying to get out into the workforce is really hard, when you've seen someone suffer like that. So we have changes in aggregate demand. So inflation can occur when demand for goods and services exceeds the existing supplies. So like our whole toilet paper, I'm still upset with people and their toilet paper hoarding.
I couldn't believe that. I literally had to bounce to, like, I don't know how many stores just to get toilet paper, and it wasn't even the one I wanted. It would be like a 4-pack, and I'd literally be happy just to get that. That was a crazy time.
Yeah. And then so even after COVID, you have the issue with the formula, and then it was uh, sanitary napkins, the pads, and the tampons.
Right. That's right.
Yeah. And changes in aggregate supply inflation can occur when producers raise the prices in order to meet the increased cost. Yeah, because the whole supply and demand, it goes all the way down. So like if you're making jam, and you need jars, there's no jars, so you're gonna have to buy the more expensive jars. And I mean, the person who's selling the jam's not gonna bite the cost of the jars like the consumer is.
Yep.
And then there was that one period of time when all of our goods were stuck on the boat.
Oh, there was tons of them out there just floating around waiting.
Yeah, so I was watching the news and there was this lady, and that's what she did. She made jam. That was her business. And so she was going to all the dollar stores, all the Michaels, all the Hobby Lobbies looking for jars. And so there's no jars, and there's like this increase in cost because that's the American way. You increase the cost when you don't have a lot. Increase the cost of the jars. And so of course she had to sell her jam like for more money because she's paying more for the jars.
Yeah. And wasn't there a jar shortage?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. That's crazy.
She probably bought them off. No.
Oh, it's terrible.
Wage increases are the largest simple production cost for most companies. So with that lady, she was a single person who made jam as her business, but wage increases, it increases the production cost. You have to pay the people that are working there. And then also too, you'll find that now, especially post-pandemic, that employers want to hire people part-time as opposed to full-time.
Yeah.
Because they don't have to pay like PTO and other benefits like health insurance, because you only get those benefits if you work 32 hours a week, 32 or 35 hours a week. You're considered full-time. Yes. And so then you would be entitled to those benefits. But if you're not working full-time hours, then you're not entitled to those benefits. And so what ends up happening is that you have employees who have 2 part-time jobs, but they don't have any benefits. Yep. So it becomes problematic when they need to take time off, for having a child who's sick or they're sick themselves, and they don't have any PTO to cover that time that,
that's
that they need off.
That's happening a lot.
Yeah.
It's happening now. I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. I just see everybody working 2 part-time jobs, 3 part-time jobs just to survive here in California because it is so expensive here.
Yeah. So budget planning. So 8 tools if you're behind on your bills. Where does all my money come from? Where does my money go? What are my bills, and then when are they due? And how can I make extra money out of my situation? That's multiples. They always say you need multiple streams of income. Have you heard that?
No, I don't even have multiple streams of income. I don't think a lot of us have multiple streams of income.
Yeah, like growing up, they say you need multiple streams of income. Yeah. Anyways, we'll talk about multiple streams of income. And then what else can I, who else can I turn to for help? How do I respond to debt collectors? How do I make tough choices in tight months? And then what is one thing I want to change? What is one thing I want to change is kind of like that thing you got to keep your eye on the prize.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Sometimes you need to write it down and have it on a sticky in front of your face so you don't forget.
I agree. I think everybody should write everything down. It's always good to have a visual, like a shopping list, write it down. Go in that store with just that list. Do not stray from the list. Bills, write them down.
Stray from the list.
Just write everything down. It's a good visual. I forget things easily. We all multitask. We all have a lot going on in our lives. So writing things down keeps us on point.
And you don't have to remember. The only thing you have to remember is where you wrote it.
Yes. Okay. So have a central station in your house like we do. We have like a bulletin board, a big calendar. I have sticky notes everywhere, but at least I go there every morning. I'm really trying to train myself to do that because I was never like that. So honestly, this is new for me too, is keeping myself on on track.
On track. Yeah. Oh, well, I write things down, but I write things down on everything. It's ridiculous. But I need a better system because I literally have receipts in my purse and I have like things written on the back.
Let's get, at least you know that, and you can work on that, because we all work on things.
Like,
hey,
where's that grocery outlet receipt? Like, I have something written on the back. No. So write the names of any income and benefits that apply to you. That could be cash aid, that can be from your employment, can be from what is that, child support, or any other supports or incomes that you might receive. Write down how much you receive each week. That could be including extra little monies that you get from doing errands for other people, or giving people rides, or babysitting. Total up the week's income and then circle your predictable and consistent income. So that's kind of self-explanatory. So you want to circle the predictable income because that's going to be like your main source of income. So write that down. How much do you get per week for that?
That makes sense. Like my job, I'll write that down because I know I'm getting that each time. But then sometimes I do help out friends, like I pet sit for people, and that's like a little extra. So those are little side things that I try to do. I'm trying to just do side jobs, side hustles, whatever I can do, because that's what we have to do nowadays to get by.
Yeah. So you have typical monthly spending. This is like a nice little chart here. So we have a $4,100 budget. I know a lot of people are working with less, but this is what we got. And so like a 2-bedroom apartment, I believe it's like $1,000 per bedroom here in San Diego.
Right? Yeah, that's about right. A 2-bedroom does go for 2,000, some 3,000. It's very expensive here in California.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like a big chunk of the monthly income goes to housing. Then you have health insurance. This says $400. I don't know how much it costs to pay outright. I heard it was like 700.
I hear that too. I do not know. I am going through this as we speak. I'm trying to find health insurance right now. So, but I would say, yeah, 600-700.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and then like Julie and I agreed that this whole donation thing shouldn't really say donation. It should say like splurges.
Yeah, splurges, man.
Like
yeah.
eating out, or
Yes.
buying that extra
Yes.
pair of shoes, or
yes, having fun when we probably shouldn't be, but you know, it kind of need that little out, that little
something to make us happy.
Yes, yes, please. Nowadays, yes.
The next one is transportation. This is $400, but I kind of disagree with that one, just because some people have car notes, and then that doesn't include car insurance, and then also gas. And gas prices are gnarly.
They are. They've gone down a little bit, but still, we are very high here.
Yeah, I try to stay parked on the weekend.
Yeah. Yes. And then going for gas, please, if you're gonna do it, fill it up. It's the smartest way to go. I've learned that the hard way. I was always doing halfway, and nope, fill it up. It really helps. And then plan your when you go to the store, plan everything out on, just plan it out before you go. So you do a smart little thing, round trip, save that gas.
Save gas. And then also too, like even if when you fill it up, trying to keep it past that mid mark, because once you go below that, then it's like your gas just drains.
Yes.
So if you can fill it up that one time and then just try to keep it, above the halfway mark, that's a whole lot easier. And
I agree.
Yeah, and the gas lasts longer.
Yes. Yep, I agree.
And then next is 200 in groceries. I spend $200 a week just on my pantry. But I have a house full of people though. There's like 9 of us.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was paying, I'm going by monthly only because I keep on my receipts every month and I tally up everything. So I have a good visual. I'm like sitting there, I look at everything, and I spend now $200 more on top of that because all the prices went up. So I'm at 800, almost 900 a month. But mind you, my groceries are everything: paper, soaps, toiletry, everything all together. But still, that is a lot of money. And I
Yeah.
still need to figure out how to trim that down. And I'm not going to be embarrassed to say that I even go to the Salvation Army, and they have like little pickup places around my neighborhood for food. I'm not afraid to say it, but I do that too because it does help me out.
Yeah. Like for us, it was the cabinet, just like the cabinet food and the freezer food. It was like it was $200. We would spend that, but then it's gone up to like $300. And then like I would spend $200 just on the toiletry stuff. So that would be like the paper towels, toilet paper, soap, cleaning supplies, all that stuff. And I shop at Big Lots, and so that would add up to $200 as well. And then for like meat, that's the other part. So we would spend like $200 in meat too.
Yeah.
But it would come average out to like maybe $100 a week in meat. Because like if we went meat shopping, we only have to go buy meat like maybe twice a month.
No, it's not. That's not too bad.
Yeah.
That's not too bad. And for my meats, I go to like the Mexican markets like Kalen's and Manolo's, and I'm not trying to sell those places, but they have great sales once in a while on pork chops and chicken and beef. And you go behind the counter and it's super cheap. And then that's when I kind of stock up and take advantage of that grocery outlet. You go in the mornings at Food for Less. They have these areas in the meat department where they have markdowns and they mark down packages of meat. And as long as you get them home and freeze them, they're good. So I definitely look for things like that. That helps me out so much.
Yeah. And then next is your cell phone bill. I have 3 people on my bill, so it's like $200.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have
Okay.
like a grandfather account with T-Mobile.
Okay. Okay. I go through Metro and I pay 126 for 4 lines. I've always been with Metro though, and I've never had a problem with them. And that's probably about the best deal I could get.
Yeah, that is a good deal. Electric, I have solar, but it says $70 to $80. What's
Yeah, $70 to $80. That's my typical monthly bill when it's not summertime. So right now I'm hurting. I'm at 300 and something, only because we live in El Cajon and it is 100 degrees out and
Oh
it's
yeah,
miserable. And I do run my AC.
and there's no wind.
There's nothing moves, and at nighttime it's miserable. But so I'm trying to figure out this saving thing with these power savers, and if you don't use something from 4 to 9. So I'm learning. I'm going through this right now, so I'm trying to figure out changes. And as soon as I figure out something, if I can figure out something, I will pass my knowledge along as well.
And if you're interested in power savers, you can contact the scare office and we can let you know. But it's kind of like a rewards program for using less electricity.
Yep, exactly.
So then you have internet and subscriptions.
Mm.
So at my house, we have like the basic cable and internet, and then like we have these subscriptions to like, which I need to look into them. So we have like Disney Plus, Hulu, Netflix. I don't know what else.
There's stars out there too. There's Prime.
Oh yeah, I do have Prime.
Mm-hmm.
See,
but Prime is good because I shop with Prime. We get free shipping, which is really good. And sometimes that comes in clutch. Sometimes that comes in handy. And when you say clutch, right? sometimes it's good to have.
Yeah.
But yeah, internet and subscriptions. If anybody can look through that, I would. I need to too. Like Michelle says, I need to. I do have basic internet and basic stations at home, but then again, I've got Hulu and Prime and Stars, and I borrow my sister's Netflix, and I know I shouldn't, but I do because I can't pay another freaking subscription right now. But I gotta look because I do have to start shaving off some prices.
And then also too, you might want to look at the subscriptions that you have on your cell phone, because sometimes we have apps and there's in app costs. Like if you want the perks in certain apps, they'll tell you to pay. And then like also iPhone, you have to pay for your music, and then you have another subscription for like the iCloud, and then there's another subscription for
doing that too.
Yeah, so like just going through your subscriptions for your iPhone.
Yeah, definitely. I know, and I'm paying for YouTube because I don't want the commercials, but I'm thinking about having to go back and just pay for basic because
I'm basic.
it's a chunk.
I don't care about commercials.
I know. I spoil myself, but that's a perk and I don't really need it. So see, that's something I have to stop too. So shaving some of those prices would be helpful.
Watch a few commercials.
That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
Let's see, track your spending. So sort your spending into categories, kind of like what we looked at before, and then total up each category and locate where you can make some adjustments.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that after this video. Literally, I'm gonna do that because after talking about this and saying everything out loud, I think this is a really good idea for everybody. Also, look at your bank statements. I know I don't look at them a lot, but I started looking at them and I saw charges that like for 199 here and there, and I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't do these things. And I looked back and they were going on for several months. So look at the bank statements too.
Oh, it's probably a subscription or something.
Yeah, and I think it's on my phone and I didn't know I was doing it.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that we talked about, definitely.
Yeah, and then like also too on your bank statements, now they're starting to already put your spending into categories if you're not just taking it out and using cash. So like if you look, it'll sometimes they'll have a pie graph and it'll tell you like where you're spending all your money.
Oh, so I'm gonna look for that.
Yeah, so kind of like look, especially if you have the app.
Okay.
Like sometimes some banks will have that on there. So they'll do the homework for you.
Nice.
Yeah. Your bill calendar. I suggest that everyone have a calendar. You mark your calendar for the dates that your bills are due. Then you highlight your calendar on your pay dates. So then you can visually see which checks to use to pay the projected bills. And so I do this for my husband because he's just like, let me just write all these bills down on this paper. And I'm like, no, dude, like, look, this is your pay date and these are the bills that need to get paid on this date.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like, on Monday you're paying one bill, Wednesday you're paying a different bill, Thursday you're paying, no, you pay all the bills for that check on that day, and then you don't have to worry about any more bills.
Yes.
Because you paid everything that you were supposed to pay.
Yes. I love that idea. It's really cool that you said that because I literally just started doing that. I used to just write my bills down and my dates down in my little planner, and that's it. But then I got highlighters, I got colors, I marked down my pay dates coming up, like just like they're saying now. And it's awesome because it's a visual and you're seeing it and you're like, okay, good, I got paid here. I'm going to pay this, this, and this now. And then you're good to go. And I don't fall behind anymore. And I'm like, yes, I feel so good.
I love highlighters and color coding and everything.
They're the best. It's the best.
And then bringing in more money. So we have profitable skills. So it could be like making earrings and selling them, painting. If you know how to hang up TV monitors and things like that, there's a need for handyman because a lot of young people don't know how to do things. No. Like hang up their TV. But or make sure their cabinets are straight or so I think that nowadays like any little handyman skill is profitable.
Definitely.
Like you can definitely put that on because they have like what is that on Facebook where you have like your neighborhood page.
Yeah.
And
yes.
you just like if you need help with anything, like I can some kind of it's a small little side hustle. If you have a truck, you can take stuff to the dump.
Yes, you can.
And people need that service as
There's
well.
a lot of services out there people are in need of, and we wouldn't think they would need it, but there is, and everybody's got skills. We all have something in us that we are good at doing, and there's no shame in putting it out there. You make some money. Like my boyfriend, he is a mechanic, and he's learning how to do a lot of things. But I told him, hey, he can do a lot of things without. He already knows a lot of things. So I told him, go on the page and put it out there saying, hey, I can do this, this, and this, and make some side money on that. So feeding, definitely, like Michelle said, all kinds of stuff is out there. There's so many needs out there.
Yeah. And then, powwow season, you have all those parents who need regalia, don't have time to do it because they're working.
Yep, make that money off that.
Yeah.
Take advantage of the situation.
I also have a friend who does, he takes things to the dump, but he charges like $150 off top, and then whatever the dump charges for the load. And then that's the total that the person pays. But it's just like regardless for that dump run, he gets paid $150.
There you go.
Yeah. Um, and then avoidable fees. So that's paying things on time, making sure that you don't have an extra fee tacked on to your cell phone bill, an extra fee tacked on to your bank um, bank fees. Because like if you go over your account and you overdraw like 35 cents, they're going to charge you $35.
Yeah, I've been there. And that taught me to just look at my bank account every morning before I go out with the house.
And also like keep in mind what you already spent, because a lot of times the banks will not, it's not there, they don't deduct it, and then all of a sudden Carl's Jr. decides to submit what you
charged.
bought. Yes. And then it's like, oh yeah, I did spend $35 at Carl's Jr.
Yeah, definitely have to watch out for those. That's happened to me too.
Yeah, and then change in plans. So, I mean, if you don't have the money for it, or you just want to have extra money from paycheck to paycheck, you can always do a change in plans. So instead of going to the movies, you can do a movie night at home.
Definitely.
So yeah, I mean, it's cheaper. Go to the 99-cent store, get some little snackies and
candies and stuff like that.
Yeah, and just do a movie night at home as opposed to doing a movie night in the movie theater. Utilities to reduce. So again, we talked about the electricity, use less water, um, what you can even purchase different. So like instead of buying like the already made beans in a can, you can do like dry beans, start doing more things from scratch, because you can do dry beans on the weekend and then make a big old pot, and that pot will last a couple of days, a lot longer than that can would.
Yeah, definitely. and the flavor's better, by the way, just putting that out there too.
Yeah, and then spending habits that can change. So like how we were saying, like stick to your list of items, especially when you're going into Walmart, because that can be dangerous.
Yes. Grocery outlet can be dangerous too.
Oh yeah, grocery outlet.
And they have a lot of good deals at grocery outlet. They're all different, but they have a lot of good deals. And I'll just say this really quick. Yesterday I walked in to get some stuff, just to get 3 things. And I went down aisle 1, and that's all the kitchen stuff. And there was this cutest 3 things that I really, really wanted: mason jar bowls, and they were beautiful. But I sat there 10 minutes and I said, Julie, do you really need this? Do you really need this? And I'm so proud of myself. I didn't buy it. I didn't buy them, and that would have been $40, and I don't have $40. I almost did spend $40. I didn't have. I mean, I had it in my bank account, but I'm not supposed to touch it, and I didn't touch it. So it's really hard. It's really hard. We just got to take it day by day, everybody, because it's a struggle. It's a struggle. Saving money and trying not to spend is a struggle, but it's doable. You just got to be really mindful of ourselves.
Yeah, and if you really need it, and what do you have in the bank, and like what can that money be used for? What are some alternatives?
Yeah. Yes.
So changing our spending habits. So when you're in when things are tight in the month, you may need to prioritize things that you're going to spend your money on, because I mean every month is different, and there are those times where things get really really tight because you had to pay something that you didn't expect to pay for, like your kid had a growth spurt or needs new shoes. I have a story. So Jihad, my oldest son, he was in junior high school, and he woke up in the morning and he grew out of all of his pants. Oh, it was crazy. I've seen that in movies. I didn't think that it was real. I mean, because you see it in a movie, of course it's not real. It's a movie. No, this kid grew out of his pants like overnight. So I had to like, I couldn't take him to school. We had to wait till Ross opened, and then I had to buy him pants
That's stressful.
so that he can go to school. But yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, that
So,
is.
anyways, that was like money that I was supposed to use somewhere else, but I had to use them towards, getting my son clothes for school unexpectedly.
Yeah. Yeah, and my I was sick one time and I don't have health insurance, so I had to go buy this medication. And so that for me was, I had to pull together this other money that I was supposed to use for something else. And so that was oh, that was hard, but it's tough. Things do pop up sometimes.
Yeah. So, again, we're talking about the prioritizing of items that need to be paid in a crunch. For first things first is things needed to stay housed and your utilities connected. So of course, like your rent and your utilities are,
Priority.
yeah, priority number one. Um, and then I know a lot of times we can get like sucked into that whole make a payment plan, make a payment plan, make a payment plan, but eventually it spirals out of control.
That's happened to me. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you kind of want to just, if you can pay that utility, pay it, or pay as much as you can on it.
Exactly. Just something.
Yeah, because like when you set up that payment plan, it's like you have a plan for your past due bill, but it's that plan for the past due bill, and then that goes on top of the bill that you're paying now. So that's why I say it becomes like this monster that gets out of control because it's like you have a payment plan on top of what you have to pay like now or monthly.
Yeah, and look for programs. Sometimes there's programs out there to help us in these pinch times when you're low income. There's programs out there to help with that SDG bill, just to get you up to date, just to get you to catch up so you can be okay for the upcoming months. So there's things out there. You just gotta
Yeah,
look.
like iHeap,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And iHeap is really cool because like they help you with your late bill. And
Mm-hmm.
then on top of that, there's a program where they'll come out and check your house to make sure that you have good insulation,
Energy
that you
efficient.
have energy efficient
Mm-hmm.
appliances, and then sometimes they'll swap those appliances out. So like if you have like this old refrigerator that's just draining your electric bill, they'll swap it for like an energy efficient refrigerator.
Yep. Yes, they will. Beautiful.
And then they'll like seal around your house, seal the windows,
Mm.
and put those little things at the bottom of the doors.
Yes, little slider things for the
Yeah,
air to
so
seal up.
yeah, to seal the bottom of the door so that the air's not getting out. Like if you're trying to cool down your house. So yeah, there's programs out there.
Yep.
Next, you want to make sure that you're paying the insurances that you need to pay because you don't want to get caught in the wrong place at the wrong time and not have insurance.
Mm. Yes.
And then other obligations that you might need to pay, like child support, um, or other things that that must be paid. Don't ignore the debt collector. So this is important. So a lot of you might receive mail in your mailbox from a debt collector, someone claiming to be a debt collector. You don't want to ignore those. You want to open it up and read what's going on. And then if a debt collector is calling, um, uh, well, sometimes your phone will tell you that it's spam when it's spam.
Yes.
Um, but if it's a legit debt collector, you want to answer that. Get the collector's name and address, the original creditor's name and address. So when you have an outstanding bill, the original creditor will send it off to another collection agency, and then that collection agency now has your debt. And then you get the account number and the amount owed. When the account ask when did the account become delinquent, and then when the collector obtained your debt and how much was the debt when they obtained it, and then documentation saying that you're obligated to pay. So this is important um, because for me, I have Credit Karma, and I was able to write off like $1,300 worth of debt because I would dispute it and saying that I don't have a contract with this collector, with this debt collector. And it's because I did it. So what happens is the original creditor will send it off to a debt collector, and then they in return try to make some money off of the debt that they collected. Um, and you don't have a contract with that collector many times. So yeah, they would have to take it off my credit report because I don't have a contract with that debt collector. To resolve uh, issues with your debt collector, if the debt is not legitimate, don't delay in disputing the debt. So like I said, I would dispute it. Credit Karma, you can go straight through their app and dispute um, the creditor so that you can get that off of your credit report. And then if the debt is legitimate, then try to settle. So the collector many times will settle. So like, let's say that you owe $100, they might settle for 70 or 50. They just want some money back. And then, or you can negotiate a payment plan. Or if it's low enough, just pay the debt in full and then just move on. And then it's off your credit report. And then if you're sued, and to respond to the court documents. So I know that when you have like tickets, like they'll go through the court system so that they can garnish your wages to get their money.
That'd be awful. You don't want that to happen.
Yeah, like even the ones where it's like the toll booths, and then you don't realize that you went through a toll or something like that,
Yeah.
and then you get these little things in the mail, and you're just like, what is this? Like you have to pay attention because it might not look like something, but then it is.
Yeah, definitely have to be aware.
Yeah. I don't know what happened. So, well, I'd like to thank you. And just to review, we went over what is inflation and how did we get here. We also examined your income versus the expenses, and then small adjustments that you can make a big difference in your pocketbook. And then seeking opportunities to save, and then how to deal with debt collectors. So I'd like to thank you, Julie, for chatting away with me over a cup of coffee.
Thank you. Thanks for having me today.
All right.